In this video, I'm discussing why people on the autism spectrum flap their hands, so that by the end of the video, you'll know exactly why it happens. Coming up. So I'm going to be covering some interesting insight into why people on the autism spectrum flap their hands, the reason for it, and some of the stuff that you could do to help. These are also some of the reasons that you probably may not have even heard why people on the autism spectrum flap their hands. Hey guys, welcome back to the Aspie World. My name is Dan. I have autism, ADHD, OCD, and dyslexia. I make weekly videos on this type of stuff, so if you're new around here and you'd like to learn more, remember to hit that subscribe button by clicking the notification bell. And if you're watching over on Facebook, be sure to give this page a like and a follow to see daily video uploads from me. So before we get started, guys, I'd just like to know and ask you guys a question. Are you a person who is on the spectrum, or are you a professional or family member wanting to learn more? So please pop your answer in the comment down below. I read and respond to every single comment, so please do that. It'd be super awesome. Okay, so autism and hand flapping. We're going to cover 5 things. We're going to cover what hand flapping is. Then I'm going to cover why people on the autism spectrum flap their hands. Then we're going to cover what can you do to help. And then we're going to cover my personal experiences with hand flapping and some interesting insight that you probably would not have really come across. So right at the end of the video, that'll be super fun. Okay, awesome. I always love doing that. I love making videos, and I always have to have my water next to me. This is a Stranger Things bottle. Look at this. If you're not like a fan of Stranger Things, then are you even real, bro? Like, what's going on? Who doesn't like Stranger Things? I'm only joking. I know a bunch of people probably don't even like Stranger Things. I mean, I do really like it, but I may be an exception. Anyway, let's get on with this video. Oh, actually, guys, just while I remember, I'm actually trying to get more followers on Twitter and Instagram. I'm almost at 10,000 followers on Twitter. So if you want to see funny tweets and videos from me, make sure to give me a follow on Twitter. And I usually follow people back because I'm just that nice a guy. Okay. So the first one, what is hand flapping? So you might have seen autistic people flapping their hands, like doing this kind of gesture. And this basically is a self-stimulatory behavior. What that means is that it's self-stimulating behaviors that the person possesses because of a reaction to something that's going on. So it's a outburst of a reaction, like kind of like a cause and reaction. Something is happening, so this is what we see visibly. Kind of like if you boil water, you see steam. So steam would be the self-stimulatory behavior in this scenario, which is a bit metaphorical. You get the idea. It's a act that happens involuntary most of the time because of another action that's happening through a reaction. Did I say that right? That's very confusing. So, this is I'm just trying to lay it out so you guys can understand exactly what it is broken down into different bits. But the most interesting part is why people stim. So, the name, obviously, if we were now calling it self-stimulatory behavior, it's quite a weird term. So there's actually a shortened term called stimming, which isn't actually a word that's recognized on most of my phones or stuff, because when I'm typing out stimming, it always changes it to stamming, which is really annoying. And anybody who's autistic watching this has tried to write the word stimming and it changes it to stamming. I feel your pain. I've been there when I was writing the script and the metadata for this video, so you're not alone. So, stimming. Why do people do stimming? So stimming comes from a few different areas, and the main two, which I'll cover in this video, are the fact that when someone who is autistic then has a excited feeling, they will kind of flap their hands, because it's kind of like that emotion, that feeling of being excited about something can like rock its way to the surface and becomes like hand flapping gestures. Now, that isn't the only stimming available. You know, it's not. So like hand flapping isn't the only way that people on the autism spectrum stim, but this is one of the main ways that you probably would have recognized and seen. So it kind of comes from an emotional impulse to do something because they are trying to convey emotion, because people on the autism spectrum have an issue with communicative connection through emotions. Like they don't have the typical way of communicating their emotions to everybody else, especially in social situations or if they're excited about something. So stimming can be caused, especially hand flapping stimming, by a cause of excitement. If you're getting really excited about something and then you want to show that, stimming is one of the ways that they do that, or flapping of hands is one of the ways that happens. But on the contrary to that, you can actually also have hand flapping stims from feeling nervous. So if someone on the autism spectrum is feeling kind of nervous about something, or they're feeling kind of anxious about something, then they would be flapping their hands, or in this scenario, if we're talking about hand flapping, they could flap their hands. And this again is an indicator that there's, you know, they're showing that they're trying to put their emotion out through what they know as being their typical way of doing it, which is through stimming. Now, stimming, the reason it happens is because that repetitive notion of that behavior is soothing to the person on the spectrum. So people on the autism spectrum love routines and love having things like watching wheels spin round, or love watching like lava lamps or bubbles flying or things like that, because those things are soothing because they're repetitive, and that repetitive notion is familiar, and that familiar is just totally relaxing. So when you stim, it's a repetitive motion that can soothe you and calm you down in a situation of heightened stress or heightened happiness, because obviously, you know, being ecstatically happy and ecstatically upset about something are very close to having like a similar response emotionally, because they're very big emotional responses to things. So that is kind of like how and why somebody on the autism spectrum stims. But there are other stims, you know, like you can like, there could be a multitude of stims. Okay, I'm not going to go right into it because a lot of people use like dancing as stimming and stuff like that, and there's other things that people do as stimmings. People hum and stuff like that, but I'll talk about my personal ones a little later. So what can you do, like knowing this information, what can you do to help? So basically, if you see someone who's on the autism spectrum and they are doing that hand flapping gesture, then you know that there's an emotional response going over there. So think about the situation. Is there something negative happening? Is there something very positive happening? Is there something overly stimulating happening that's going to cause a potential meltdown? There are so many different pieces that could cause it. What your job could be, if you wanted to help that person, is go over there, assess the situation, see what's going on, and maybe just say to them, hey, you know, are you feeling all right? Are you excited? Are you nervous? What's going on? And then the person who's on the spectrum could respond, if they are verbally able to say, hey, you know, there's an issue with this and I need some help with it. So it's always a good way to indicate to you, hey, this person might need some help, and I may be able to do that because I know exactly what they're kind of doing and why they're doing it, because I've watched that video by Dan. Yeah, don't worry about it. And then you could offer their help, and then you could be the person that helps them out, which is an amazing feeling, because who wouldn't want to help somebody out, right? Who wouldn't? Oh, also guys, if you feel like this video is giving value to people, then please could you share it on Facebook and Twitter? It'd be amazing. Just get the link from down below and then just copy and paste it onto Facebook and say, hey, check out this video. It might help you if you're on the spectrum or looking after somebody on the spectrum. And then do the same on Twitter. It would be amazing. And also, if you tag me in it on Facebook and Twitter, then I'll like it and comment back, because I love doing that, and I love retweeting stuff, and I love helping people out, and yeah, it'd be amazing. Sharing the love would be awesome. Thank you. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about like personal experiences, because like, actually guys, do you ever do this thing? I just like fiddle with stuff all the time. This is like my new fiddle toy. This is an Apple Pencil, right? It's not really a toy. It's actually a very expensive piece of equipment I use to do my video editing and stuff on my iPad. But like, I have this and I just find myself just twiddling with it, and then I put it in my mouth and chewing it and stuff. So I'm sitting there all the time. Like, I'm just literally playing with this thing all the time. I'm in meetings and I'm like, you know, like people on the phone were like Skyping. It's crazy. Any autistic people right now watching this video who play with things like this, who can't stop but fidget with things, give this video a thumbs up. Let's do it. If you fidget with something and you know exactly what I'm talking about, and you can't, and you're like, why am I even playing with this? It goes on for about an hour. And I'm like, I'm playing with this thing again. Like, leave me a thumbs up this video. It really helps me out if you thumbs up the video as well, but it'd be really fun to see how many people actually kind of relate to this. But yeah, oh goodness me, honestly, I'm just like sitting there looking at it, I'm thinking, I could play with that right now. I'm like, what am I doing? Anyway, so personal experiences. I stim, but I stim in different ways. So I told you about the stimming, different stims and stuff like that people have. And my way of stimming is like, I flick my fingers like this sometimes. A lot of the time I flick my fingers like this. I used to do one where I tap my fingers on my legs like this. So they make that noise. See that noise? That. So I used to do it on my legs a lot, just to kind of get that. I don't know why, I just used to do it all the time. One of my favorite ones is I rock from side to side when I'm stood up, and I kind of like that one as well. And then I rock backwards and forwards and on my own. Another one is that I like brush under my chin with my hands quite a bit. That's kind of cool one. And then another one is rubbing my fingers together like I'm like an Italian guy asking for money, you know, in a gangster film. Like, but those are different stims. Now, there are people who have stim toys and stim gadgets. You could get a bunch of different ones. So you can get things like the Clicks, which is a stim toy which I spoke about before in my videos, and you can get things like fidget spinners, and then you can also get like just fidget pens and pencils. And I guess it's kind of like this thing, you know, this would be classed as stimming as well, you know, just using this and going like this the whole time, like ooh, which I do a lot. So this is kind of like a stim. I call this like fidgeting. I always think that when I'm moving my body that's stimming, but I guess all of it is stimming, because like fidgeting with something to make it a repetitive, soothing notion is stimming, you know. So I actually have a bunch of different ones, and they kind of come and go strong. One of them is like the one I've had for ages, is like flicking my fingers like this. But I also have like tics that come with it as well. So I have like unusual tics, kind of like tics normally associated with Tourette's, but people on the autism spectrum do have tics. So if you'd like to see a video on tics and my personal tics, leave me a comment down below, because I'd love to talk about that, and then and maybe I could do a video on it if enough people comment about tics. So fidgeting with stuff as a form of stimming, because it's, again, anything that gives you like a repetitive nature. Like I normally do it like between fingers like this, or I do it like that, or I do actually hit it against my lips like this. I don't even know why. You might see a lot of autistic people doing this with stimming, like they'll hold something up to the eye and doing this, because obviously they can see it moving and stuff like that. I used to do that a lot. I do it with my fingers and stuff when the telly's on, because you can see like the screen of the telly moving by your fingers. That's kind of cool. I used to do that quite a lot. I don't really do it anymore because I kind of grew into different stims, you know. I guess that's stuff that happens as you grow older. But in terms of stimming, they are some of the ones that I had personally and I've experienced personally. So I just wanted to cover some like interesting insight into hand flapping. Like, so we're talking specifically about hand flapping and autism, right? But there's something quite interesting about it that I find fascinating that I think I should really mention. Now, kids on the autism spectrum flap their hands. Yes, we know. We see, or anybody on the autism spectrum could potentially flap their hands. Yes, we get that. But you might have seen people doing it like this, like flapping their hands like that. Now, when they are flapping their hands like this, it's because they are using the light and their fingers to cross phase. So there's two things. When you're stimming, because you're getting that, like, you know, appearing, disappearing light, because you're doing it in front of your face and it causes shadow, like you can see in this example. But what you're also doing as well is all lights that are kind of like tube strip lighting have like a flicker, and they flicker quite fast. But people on the autism spectrum can actually see that flicker. It's a bizarre, useless superpower, and that flicker is really, really, really annoying, especially when you go somewhere like the dentist, or you go to like an office or something, and it's just like, oh my goodness, like this light is horrible, I just want to turn it off, right? But when you do that counteract the flickering, so you kind of just have consistent light then. So stimming to have consistent light is probably most of the time why people do that on the autism spectrum, because they're helping cancel out the light. I find fascinating, and also it's an insight to hand flapping that people probably wouldn't technically know about, because it's not something that they go, oh yeah, I remember, you know, I know exactly why that is. Because if you're watching this video to learn more about hand flapping anyway, you probably wouldn't really notice that they're doing that on the light. It's the same as doing it like this. But the only thing is, when they're doing it like this, there's no light irritating their faces, because people on the autism spectrum have sensory processing disorder, and the sensory processing disorder causes things like overstimulation to light and sound and smells and taste and textures and touch and all that kind of stuff. So having those put out there, I hope that this video can give you some insight into hand flapping and autism. If you enjoyed this video, guys, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Also, check out my next video next to me here, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Peace.